be discussing the speed control of three-phase induction motor. The topics to be covered today are methods of speed control, that is done by the controlling the frequency, pole changing method by changing the slip, which in turn can be achieved by varying the applied voltage, by varying the rotor resistance of the rotor circuit, and by injecting an EMF in the rotor circuit. So first we'll try to understand how the speed can be controlled. So we write the equation. The rotor speed is given by ns into 1 minus s, which in turn is equal to 120 f by p 1 minus s. So we can say that the rotor speed is proportional to the frequency, inversely proportional to the number of poles, and proportional to 1 minus s. Therefore, the speed can be controlled by variation of the frequency, number of poles, and the slip. And the slip can be varied by varying the applied voltage, the rotor resistance of the rotor circuit, and by injecting an EMF in the rotor circuit. But the last two methods, that is the rotor resistance variation of the rotor circuit and by injecting an EMF in the rotor circuit, is only applicable for the slip ring induction motors, while all the methods can be applied to both the motors, the squirrel cage as well as the slip ring. So the first thing we'll discuss is the speed control by change of supply frequency. Its limitations also we'll discuss. So the rotor speed is directly proportional to the applied frequency. So to keep the magnetization current within limits, the applied voltage must be reduced in proportion to the frequency. Else the magnetic circuit will be saturated, resulting in the excessive magnetizing current. We'll try to understand this point with the help of the equivalent circuit. Now over here you can see the magnetizing reactance is given by X0, which is equal to 2 pi f L0. So it is directly proportional to the frequency, and if the frequency is reduced, the magnetizing reactance reduces, and therefore the magnetizing current will increase. From the BH curve you already know that if the current is increased to a larger extent, or MMF is being increased to a larger extent, the magnetic circuit goes into the saturation. So therefore, to control the frequency and the machine should not go in the saturation, the applied voltage should be also reduced in the same proportion to the frequency, so that the motor functions as the desired requirement. The starting torque is not reduced in the same proportion because the rotor power factor is improved at the low frequency operation. Now how it is done? The torque is proportional to the rotor current and the rotor power factor. The rotor current is given by S E1 by Z2 dash, and the rotor power factor is R2 dash by Z2 dash. So substitute all the values of the slip and recombine the equations. You will come to that the torque is proportional to the input supply voltage and the synchronous speed, and the synchronous speed in turn is proportional to the frequency. So the torque can be kept constant if we take the supply voltage by frequency ratio constant. Therefore, the ns minus n also becomes a constant for a given torque, and since ns minus n is constant, which is determining the slip frequency, that also becomes constant, and therefore the rotor current, the rotor EMF and its impedance remains unchanged. The maximum torque developed remains constant, which is an advantage. You can get the maximum torque even at the starting, and you can keep that torque constant, and therefore the load torque having the high torque requirement can be satisfied with the help of this methodology, which is commonly known as the variable voltage, variable frequency methodology of speed control. Now what about the power? The power is given as omega into T. Omega is the synchronous speed and that reduces with the frequency. Hence the power will be varying with the variation of the frequency while the torque remains constant. Now we'll see as per the characteristics, that is the torque speed characteristics with variation of frequency, keeping V by F as constant. Now when you keep V by F as constant, this means the flux is constant. It is also called as variable voltage, variable frequency control. It is a constant flux drive because flux is constant, also called as constant flux drive. And it is also known as the constant torque drive because you can keep the torque as constant to the maximum torque by changing the voltage along with the frequency. Now what we talked about the saturation can be understood by this equivalent circuit, that is your X0 is dependent on the supply frequency. So this magnetizing reactance X0 is equal to 2 pi f L0. So if the frequency reduces, the X0 also reduces, and therefore this magnetization current I mu will increase. And as you know from the BH curve that if you go on increasing the current, the magnetic circuit will go into the saturation. Therefore, we have to control the applied voltage so that the magnetization current is controlled and the flux remains constant and the magnetic circuit does not go into the saturation. So that is the precaution is taken. Now come to the characteristics of the induction motor, that is the speed torque characteristics. The speed torque characteristics, as you can see the graph, we have got it at the rated frequency, and as the frequency is controlled along with the voltage, the graph shifts towards the left side and we get the maximum torque by changing the V by F, and therefore we can also achieve the maximum torque at the starting, which is a very controlled way of doing the speed control, and this is the reason why we have been able to replace almost all the DC motors with the induction motors, because the main disadvantage of the induction motor was the proper speed control and the starting torque. So the both have been managed over here with the help of the variation of frequency, keeping V by F as constant. Commonly in industry it is called as VFD, that is variable frequency drive. Now next is the speed control by changing the number of poles. Here we have taken 4 coils, and by which we will try to understand how the number of poles can be changed. Here all the 4 coils are connected in series, but the direction of the current in coil 1 and 3 is the same, while coil 2 and 4 it is reversed. Due to the reversal of the current in coil 2 and 4, the pole formation takes place with the 2 conductors of coil 1 and 2 conductors of coil 2, and 1 pole is being formed. Therefore, a total of 4 poles are formed with the help of this 4 pole series arrangement. Now, how it can be changed? If you make this combination as series parallel, when you have the same current direction in 1 and 3 as before, but the direction of current in coil 2 and 4 has been reversed by making it in parallel with the coil 1 and 3. The reversal of the current takes place after every 2 conductors and a new pole is being formed. Therefore, the 4 poles has been changed to a 8 pole configuration, and when you change the number of poles from 4 to 8, this means you are reducing its synchronous speed, and therefore you can achieve the speed control. But to have the variation of the number of poles, all the coil connections should be brought out so that you have the flexibility of doing the coil connection for the formation of the poles. Secondly, because it is a 3-phase motor, so we can have the combination of the star and delta. Therefore, the series parallel combination and the star delta connection results in 2-speed operation with the 3 types of torque speed characteristics. So if you need a constant torque operation under low speed, the coils has to be connected in series. In the 3-phase connection has to be delta. The other high speed operation can be achieved with the coils connected in parallel, but the 3-phase connection will be star. Similarly, constant power operation under low speed can be achieved by parallel operation of the coils in star connection, and high speed can be achieved by the series connection of coils in delta. Variable torque can be achieved with low speed coils in series in star connection, and high speed operation can be achieved with coils in parallel with delta connection. With the help of the torque speed characteristics, we have drawn the one is the base one, where we have achieved with the 50% of the speed, and the remaining is with the variation of the series parallel combination of the coils and the star and delta connection. So you can have all the combinations: low speed, high torque, high speed, low torque, high speed, high torque, and low speed, low torque also can be achieved. Next comes the variation of the slip. So the first was by varying the applied voltage. So by varying the applied voltage, this has been already analyzed when we have done the speed torque characteristics. Again, when we have done the starting methodology, this was discussed. This over here you can see that the torque equation is given by the 3 by omega s V square by Re plus R2 by S whole square plus Xe plus X3 whole square into R2 by S. So keeping the rest of the things constant, we are only varying the voltage. Therefore, torque becomes proportional to the square of the applied voltage. Therefore, if the applied voltage is reduced by 10%, the torque reduces by 19%. If the applied voltage is reduced by 20%, the produced torque reduces by 60. If the voltage is reduced by 20%, the torque produced reduces by 36%. So this is a disadvantage of the applied voltage, but it's quite simple for application purpose. So where we can compromise with the torque, the applied voltage control is being used because it's easier for the controlling point of view. You have to only vary the applied voltage, and that can be easily done with the help of the star delta conversion as well as the auto transformer method of supplying the motor. The speed torque characteristics has already been studied. The same characteristics will be reduced by a proportion of the statistics, and therefore the starting torque reduces tremendously because it is varying with the square of the supply voltage. Hence there will be too much variation in the starting torque, and even the maximum torque reduces when we control the speed by the applied voltage. Next comes the speed control by varying the rotor resistance. So the circuit you can see over here, this can be applied only in case of the slip ring induction motors, where we have got the facility to connect the external resistance in the circuit. But the disadvantage is, that is, when you conduct an external resistance, there will be I square R losses taking place. So the losses increase and the efficiency decreases. But the advantage is we can get the maximum torque even at the start of the induction motor. Initially, when we didn't have the V by F control, only the rotor resistance method was applied to get the maximum torque even at the start. But with the advent of power electronics and more advanced type of control being achieved, presently squirrel cage induction motors are being controlled by the V by F control method, and therefore this rotor resistance variation is quite rare in the industry. We use in the laboratories, but in the industry it is quite rare. Now when you do vary the rotor resistance, how the changes takes place? The rotor resistance control can be used only in the slip ring induction motor. That's its disadvantage. The variable external resistance is added in the rotor circuit through slip rings only and is shorted externally. The magnitude of the external resistance can be added to amounts such that the maximum torque can be produced even at the start of the motor. Because if we increase further, the slope will be increased further and the torque produced will reduce. The copper losses increases due to the added resistance in the circuit. The main advantage is the straight line is the stable operating region of the induction motor. So the large range of speed control can be achieved by the variation of the rotor resistance methodology. Now this rotor resistance, what you see as a straight line in the speed torque characteristics, that means you can control the motor right from the start to the synchronous speed up to synchronous speed. The whole range of the speed can be controlled just by the variation of the rotor resistance. Now presently some more modifications has been done in rotor resistance. That is, instead of having a mechanical variation of the rotor, you can have the automatic control by connecting the electronic circuitry, and by switching of the transistors you can have the chopping of the resistors and the variation of the resistance can take place. Over there the advantage is that the external rotor resistance will add the copper loss, but the remaining circuit won't be there, and therefore the speed control can be achieved automatically and need not have the mechanical control. So because for the perfection of the speed control you need the automatic control, the feedback system, and that can be achieved when we add the transistor in the given circuit for automatic control. Now the last method is the speed control by injecting rotor EMF in the rotor circuit. Now as you all know that when the rotor rotates, the rotor EMF comes down to a very small value. So when we want to inject the rotor EMF, the rotor EMF should be in the same frequency as the EMF of the rotor. So what is the methodology? Induction motor is given the three-phase supply. From the rotor you have got the slip ring arrangement, because this method can be also applied only to slip ring induction motors. You start the motor with the help of the external resistance, but later on you start the control, and when you start the control, the switches of S1 is opened and S2 is closed. So when you close the S2, how do you inject the circuit? The transformer transforms the voltage, supply voltage, to the level of the induction motor. Speed control by injecting rotor EMF in rotor circuit. To implement this method, you need a proper circuit to inject the rotor EMF at the frequency of the EMF. When you want to apply this method, the methodology should be used in the same way at the same frequency. So you can see the circuitry over here. The induction motor is connected to the three-phase supply. The rotor is connected through the resistance, that is the same rotor resistance. External resistance is being added to the circuit for the starting of the motor. Now once the motor comes into rotation, normally we remove the external resistance, and for the control purpose we open the switch S1 and close switch S2. So this, when S2 is closed, the rotor current will be flowing through the circuitry, and it is first being rectified, then it is being inverted, that is three-phase inversion takes place, and it is a controlled inversion. Okay, because you see the thyristor, while the three-phase diodes rectifier, it's an uncontrolled rectifier. Just you have to rectify whatever you are getting at the output of the rotor. It is being rectified, and this inductance LD is only being used for the ripple being removed, and the DC, pure DC, comes to the inverter circuit, and the inverter circuit is a controlled one. So you will have a three-phase output at the output of the inverter. With the help of the transformer, it is being fed back to the supply system, and the ratio is being decided by the speed control requirement of the given motor. Now how do you achieve it is, that is, this inverter and rectifier circuit together can be controlled by the rotor EMF injection in the rotor circuit. So this method is a bit complicated, and it was being applied only to the slip ring induction motor. So presently you don't find much application of it, but initially when the slip ring induction motors were in much more use or application, then this was one of the methodologies by which you try to achieve the perfection in the rotor speed control of the induction motor. You have got two methodologies in this, the Scherbius method and the Kramer's method, but almost the basic principle remains the same, because we are injecting the rotor at the slip frequency. The conclusion: so today we have understood the methods of speed control for a three-phase induction motor. We can achieve the speed control by changing the frequency, by changing the number of poles, by variation of the slip. The variation of the slip can be achieved by the variation of the applied voltage, by varying the rotor resistance of the rotor circuit, and by injecting an EMF in the rotor circuit. Thank you.